Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Here I am on one of my big properties, enjoying time, beautiful winds through the pine trees. Had a little bit of a steelhead on the grill, sitting nicely on my sissy chair right here. I have two articles for you, and I will be walking while I'm going to try to read them for you. So here's my little chair with my little outpost, and there's a little how do you call that? How do you call that shit? I can't remember. You put ice in it. Cooler, Jesus Christ. Well, I had some wine, so it makes sense. So this is part of my place. I want to go around and discuss two topics. Today is the 23rd of August 2025, and the Russians claim that they conducted a group strike on Ukrainian forces, a deployment site, and they killed 600 personnel. Here is the article from Sputnik. I don't know if you're going to see it or not. Anyway, that's the title over there. And it's from today, the 23rd. I'm going to try to read it as I go and discuss it. It says, Russian forces carry out group strike on Ukrainian deployment sites, plural, in Donetsk People's Republic. Let me fix this. Doesn't sound. There you go. All right, it says the destruction of over 600 Ukrainian military personnel, multiple rocket launchers, and a tank in Donetsk People's Republic, DPR. Moscow, Russian forces carried out a group strike using Iskander missiles, FAB-500 bombs, and Cheran drones against temporary deployment sites of the Ukrainian armed forces in the Donetsk People's Republic, with Kiev losing over 600 soldiers, the Russian Defense Ministry has said on Saturday, which is today. I'm going to go over there because over there is the river. So I'm going to go to the river a little bit. I don't think I'm going to get enough time to discuss this before I get to the river. And let me read further. As a result of a group strike, the enemy lost 4 multiple launch rocket systems, 3 tanks, with losses in manpower estimated at over 600 people, end quote. The ministry said in a statement. Up to 7 combat reconnaissance and patrol vehicles. Beautiful day, isn't it? Look at that. I'm gonna go to the beach after this. And patrol vehicles, up to 22 infantry fighting vehicles, and up to 20 motor vehicles, 4 electronic warfare stations, an ammunition depot, a command post, and 10 personal shelters were destroyed, according to a statement. The ministry published footage of the strike. We have footage of the strike, man. I can't use it here with you guys for the obvious reasons. YouTube does not like that, but sometimes it works. So, more than 600 group strike. If true, that's a big success coming from the Russians. And this is in, trying to show the Russian might against the Ukrainians and their sponsors, obviously. Now, obviously, I have my Colt right here with me. This is my 357 Magnum Python, in case animals on 2 legs want to talk to me. And I bet they don't want to talk to me. So this is one of my shooting range where I test my guns. Yes, I love guns. Yeah, because I love them. So Let's read further. This is the second article coming from New Voice of Ukraine, and not only. And it states that in Ukrainska Pravda, China signals readiness to send peacekeepers to Ukraine, Welt said. Now, I claimed this for a long time ago, that Russia will get China involved in peacekeeping mission in Ukraine, not the Europeans. And here's from New Voice of Ukraine, China signals readiness to send peacekeepers to Ukraine under one condition. Well, we're going to read this. Now I want to make sure I don't step on anything that I'm not supposed to step on. I haven't seen snakes here yet, even though there must be, but haven't seen any. There are wolves here. There are mountain lions. The neighbors said they saw. There's black bear. There's coyotes. Tons of deer. And foxes. And so on. Here are some berries. Where are you, baby doll? I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if you see my... where are you? What the hell? There you go, a little red berry. Oh, here, more. So that's good for the bear, obviously. Right there. Okay, beautiful. Okay, oki kut chepele. Eyes big as, how do you call that? Onion. Why? For the obvious reasons. All right, so let's read this article, or start reading it at least. This is from today, the 23rd of August, 2025. You can bet I hold my iPad with my left hand. My right hand holds the stick, selfie stick. So if something shows up, I'm gonna drop this, pick that 357 Magnum over there, and defend my family. All right, let's read. How do I look? Okay, I guess. All right, here it is. Beijing is willing to send troops to Ukraine as part of a peacekeeping mission. I told you they will, but they say. The German outlet Welt reported on August 23rd something unnamed sources. It's obvious that was one of the arrangements between the Russians and the Chinese. However, the sources stressed that China would only agree to such a deployment, and I'm quoting, on the condition that peacekeeping forces are deployed based on a United Nations mandate. So the Chinese want to be legal, want to have everything done by the United Nations. So they try to get the authority of the United Nations in place and avoid NATO's supremacy. The proposal has sparked mixed reactions in Brussels. Who cares? Who cares? Who gives a shit about what Brussels says about this kind of things? But nevertheless, because China has the same rights as Brussels in Ukraine. If you tell me that just because Ukraine is considered being part of the European continent, then what are the British Navy or German Navy or French Navy doing in South China Sea? Okay, get the hell out. So I think it's a, you wanna come in my neighborhood, baby doll? I will come in yours and see who won't like it. Okay, further. The proposal has sparked mixed reactions in Brussels. On one hand, involving countries from the global south, such as China, based on United Nations UN mandate. The proposal has sparked, could help build support for placing foreign troops in Ukraine to monitor a potential peacekeeping. So yeah, that's good to place people other than the NATO countries, which the Russians do not want there. As a senior EU official, why are we even asking those imbeciles anything? Well, you know why? Because these guys in the Ukrainska Pravda, using their Welt, they try to maintain European authority and legitimacy somehow over the Ukrainian area, and reject the Russian influence, but somehow casting their influence. Here, a senior EU official warned that there's also a danger that China's primary aim is to spy in Ukraine. Well, that senior European Union official is either a baboon or he is just a guy who is a piece of S. In the event of a conflict, it would take a clearly pro-Russian rather than a neutral position. How about Germany? Let's say you have German troops in Ukraine deployed. Let's say you have British troops. Let's say you have French troops. Are they neutral? Let's say you have American troops. Are they neutral? What the hell? These guys are just simply, I don't know. They think they deal with the baboons, and they are dealing with most baboons because the baboons are as they are, short attention span. Now, European officials point out that Beijing's constant appeals to the United Nations Charter, presented as a mark of neutrality, are in practice a lever to handcuff any peace mission to the Security Council, with both Russia and China holding veto powers there. So does Britain and the United States of America, don't they? Unbelievable. All right, it says here, the risk, diplomats say, could turn a peacekeeping mission into a little more than window dressing. The presence of Chinese troops in Ukraine under such conditions might freeze Western efforts while leaving Moscow with room to maneuver. Now, everything I read, put that European Union, put Germany, put France, put Great Britain or United States of America, and it's even worse for the other guys. What are these guys talking about, man? Anyway, most EU countries are reportedly hesitant to approve a UN mandate. Why is that? I thought the United Nations is, the global monitoring enforcer. No, more than a window dressing. So they are against most European countries. Who cares? And when they say most, they say the same garbage European countries that have been part of this war, like Great Britain, France, Germany, now Czech Republic, Poland, Baltic states, Romania. And besides, what authority do you have? Don't give me it's my continent. There's no such a thing, okay? Otherwise, you wouldn't be having your navies in South China Sea. Senior EU diplomats said drones could be primary tool used to monitor ceasefire compliance along the front line. All right, so that's one. The United States and European nations are urgently drafting security guarantees. Yeah, right. And let's read the other one from the China signals readiness. Okay, what do we have here? China is prepared under certain conditions to take part in a mission deploying peacekeeping contingent in Ukraine, a move that has provoked mixed reactions, the Welt reported. Okay, so the same thing. So what do you think, my friends? What do you think about this proposal? Well, it was evident that the Russians will definitely want the Chinese, maybe the Indians, their side into this. Now, I think the Chinese, the Indians, were more neutral. When I say more neutral, if you consider the Europeans and the Americans as neutral, these guys were more neutral than the other guys were, obviously. They purchased Russian oil, and they refused to impose sanctions on Russia, whereas the other guys did so much, including Switzerland, including Sweden, the so-called neutral countries. They imposed so many, they helped, they supported the war in Ukraine against, obviously, the Russians, and they cannot be called neutral. And as another piece of information, why would the Russians agree to accept, let's say, contingents from the countries who were involved and they consider themselves as neutral, but not from China? Why would they agree with that? Who are you? I don't like walking through this fern, just so you know, because you don't know what pops out. And on top of that, could be ticks in it, and we don't like ticks, do we? Nevertheless, so here it is, 600 personnel killed, according to Russians, tanks, air defense systems. According to them, it doesn't mean that it is necessarily true. All right, I'm gonna go back here on this little path where there's smaller pine trees, get to a little path where I can avoid the fern. I don't like the fern. All right, my friends, this is it. And China, of course, I've been waiting for this piece of information where the Chinese will say, oh, we can participate, but remember, only under a UN mandate. You haven't heard that from the European, didn't you? Or did you? I haven't heard them. They have the coalition of the willing, they are the subversion of the United Nations. And I talk about the Security Council, where the Russians and the Chinese have veto power. The Brits and the Americans have as well. So, you know, they can be stopped as the other ones can stop them. But nevertheless, the Chinese at least give an, how should I put it? A veneer, or at least they give a pretext. Well, if under the United Nations, if they consider that we should be deployed, so they want to give the United Nations the authority, whereas the Europeans, they don't. They want to give NATO the authority. They want to give the United States of America the authority. And if you give me this, again, I will come over and over again to this argument. If you give me this, oh yeah, but it happens in Europe. Remember, whatever happens in North Korea is not only the Americans who are involved. Even the Europeans have something to say. And I gave you only, you know, China and North Korea, but in Iran, remember when Iran was attacked by these guys, by the Americans, you had British forces over there, you had French forces. Even I think a German cruise missile was in the Red Sea with the Houthis. What are they doing over there? That's not Europe. So that's definitely more than double standard. So thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just. See you later, guys. I'm gonna go to the beach and I'm gonna make a video over there too.